Hello everyone, Matt here from PCGamesN and I'm joined by Rich.
Hello.
Our resident Civ 6 expert, and you're here to tell me a little bit about the upcoming Rise and Fall expansion, right?
Yes, indeed.
So for a while, kind of Civ has had like multiple DLC civilizations and they've been adding things over time, but this is the first proper expansion, right?
Yeah, that's right. Everyone expected it would happen, we just didn't really know when. It has now been announced. It's called Rise and Fall. It's coming out on February the 8th, and it'll cost $30, €30 or 25 British pounds.
Right, so that sounds pretty exciting. It's always exciting to get a big piece of expansion pack, you know, rather than little bits of DLC. But for as far as I know, kind of like Civ shipped with all the big features that we'd expect out of a Civ game. So what is being added is, it's like, I guess the World Congress, right, is something that we're looking for.
That would be, well, that would be something that we might have expected. As you say, Civ 6 did launch with nearly all of the traditional civilization features in place, apart from the World Congress. We might have expected that to be added, but it's not happening in Rise and Fall. But there is an exciting sort of alternative. There's a system called emergencies, which are kind of like mini World Congresses. They will be triggered when a Civ achieves a major gameplay milestone along the lines of launching the first nuke, for instance, or converting a rival religion's holy city to their own. When that happens, all the other Civs will have the option to form a pact against the targeted Civ. If they choose to do so, you can decline. They'll get a goal and some bonuses towards that goal. So in the case of someone launching a nuke, your goal might be to take the city that launched the nuke, and you'll get some combat bonuses against the offending Civ. If you succeed, then you get those bonuses or something like them applied for the rest of the game. If you fail, then the targeted Civ gets some bonuses as well. So there's a risk-reward thing there. I quite like it. It's like a little bit of a rubber banding mechanism without actually being as simplistic as a numerical rubber band. So that's an interesting new addition, which is something that we haven't seen in Civ before, really. It functions a little bit like the World Congress in that it's an international diplomatic response to an event, but it's not the World Congress.
Yeah, it sounds really cool, and I guess, is it something that will help the end game? Because so far kind of Civ 6 doesn't really have much going on there.
Yeah, and this is an area that the Civ 6 lead designer Ed Beach told us when we spoke to him a couple of weeks ago that Firaxis wanted to concentrate on, so this is very much in that line. It does sound like emergencies will happen mostly during the end game. One of the other key things that he told us was that there wasn't enough churn and dynamism when it comes to territory, right? So that's something else that the Rise and Fall expansion is going to add.
So how will that happen?
Well, so cities now have a loyalty mechanic. They can be, if their loyalty to your empire declines, then they might declare independence and become free cities. So that's one example about that. And there's another system that's reappearing from previous Civ games is the ages, right? Sure. Golden ages. Now they're called great ages. There are lots of different kinds. There are golden ages as before, but there are also dark ages and there are heroic ages. And they're tied to historical eras now rather than something like global happiness, which of course doesn't exist anymore. So there's a thing called historical milestones, which build up your era score. And like historical milestones are basically gameplay achievements. They're tied to a bunch of different gameplay styles. One example is founding a religion. Another might be founding a pantheon. And you trigger enough of these to build up your era score. And if you achieve enough of an era score within a particular, when you move on to the next historical era, technologically speaking, then you'll trigger a golden age. If you fall below the threshold that you need for even a normal age, then you'll trigger a dark age. And that might sound bad, but there are certain advantages to dark ages. You can only trigger a heroic age if you emerge from a dark age with a very high era score, for instance. And dark ages do have sort of unique governmental policies, which might have their own advantages.
So as well as all of these sort of like grand epic sort of elements that they're adding into it, presumably there are the more kind of standard things where we're sort of like new wonders, new civs, all that kind of stuff.
All of that stuff. There are 8 new civs with 9 new leaders, which means that Greece is not going to be the only civ in the game with a choice of 2 official Firaxis leaders. Someone else is going to get a second leader. Plus there are going to be 8 new world wonders, 7 new natural wonders, there are going to be 4 new units, and plenty more stuff.
A lot of stuff, basically.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
Right.
For a full rundown of all of that, we have a list feature that's going up on the channel as well. We'll go into a lot more detail about everything else that's coming in the expansion, and we'll also have all that on our website.
Excellent. So, the big question then is it worth it? Are we going to get what we want from it?
I think so. I mean, prima facie, it sounds pretty epic. Like Great Ages, City Loyalty, and Emergencies in particular do sound like they'll really add a lot to gameplay. There's a lot going on there. I would have liked to see the reintroduction of the World Congress, and it's not immediately clear how big an impact all those systems are going to have. You might just happily trundle through all of the game without triggering a Golden Age or a Dark Age. You might manage your loyalty just fine so that your cities don't flip. These systems don't necessarily have a huge impact on the game, but potentially they could have a big one.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you enjoyed learning a little bit about Rise and Fall, and hopefully it sounds like your kind of thing. If you did like the video, please give us a like and a subscribe. But until next time, thanks for joining us.
Take care.